I'm not gonna lie, this is my new favorite place to hang out. I mean, got the stove cranking, I can make coffee up here. Upgrades are happening to the cabin, and we're having a real good time doing it. So I'm gonna share some of those today with you, show you what we're doing, and give you some updates on how things are going. I think you're gonna enjoy it. Now, I do have to say, things are a mess right now in here because I've been working, on and off all week on running some wiring in here so that we'll have electrical outlets and we'll have some actual overhead lights and some porch lights and all that good stuff because we got the Geneverse back. I'm gonna tell you about that update and some of the things that we accomplished when we got that back, because I kind of put it in high gear to get the solar panels installed and get this thing hooked up. So we'll do a little bit of flashback and I'll show you the installation of some of that stuff along the way. Once we got the solar panels put on the roof of the cabin and we got the Geneverse set up in here, we plugged in, our overhead lights that you've seen before, and we decided that we're gonna want some outlets for charging our phones and all that stuff while we're up here. If I wanna come up here and do some work on my computer, I wanna be able to plug it in and keep it charged. So I ran outlets, actually overhead outlets to the area that's gonna be the loft so that we'll have places to plug in our phones. And then I put just a handful of outlets down here around the walls of the cabin so that we can have tables and a place to sit down and kind of do work. And I've been recording bits and pieces throughout the week, so we'll kind of flash some time lapse and a little bit of the work in there and show you kind of what I was doing running the wiring and getting everything set up on that. Well, hey there, hobby homesteaders. Welcome back to Pete's Peak. Today I am up at the cabin because I have some wiring to do. Now, this is a camp cabin and we are completely off grid up here. We don't have electricity and running water and all of that. We are wanting to make it as comfortable as possible. So I've shared with you some of the solar generator companies that have partnered with us to help us power our job site up here and power the cabin when it's completed. And we've had some ups and downs with that. The Geneverse did a fantastic job for a while, but I really torture tested that Geneverse. And, I was running a table saw and ripping 1-inch oak boards off of the solar generator. That's difficult. I was storing it in the truck where it would get really hot in the summertime, and that probably wasn't the smartest move. It quit working on me. We were several weeks without any kind of power source at all for the job site. But Geneverse stood behind their product. They replaced it and they covered it under warranty. They replaced it. They sent me a brand new unit that is now working great. I still have the solar panels that they gave me to begin with, and I have mounted those on the roof of the porch here now. And they are permanently mounted, and we had the wires ran inside so that we can plug that Geneverse in. And at this point, we're not taking it down to the house to charge it. It is charging on solar power. Now it's winter time and it's been cloudy the last few days. So today we're down to 64% charge. I've got the lights on, I've been charging batteries and stuff like that. We've got some sunny days coming up, so that's gonna help. I'm gonna keep you guys posted on how well that is working. I'm also in the process of researching and ordering the right cords to be able to use those same solar panels to charge the OOPS generator that we've got. We'll let you know how that goes because we intend to keep both of those on site and kind of compare them and see how each one of them holds up to our uses up here. We're up here quite a bit and we're still doing a lot of work. We have all the inside yet to finish out. We're going to get started on that today, but I just got my fire cranking and it's really doing good. And I don't know if you noticed that right there. That's my coffee maker. And I'm waiting for my coffee to percolate. So I'll have me some coffee up here. Just living the dream. Absolutely living the dream. I got off work this afternoon. The first thing I did was loaded all the stuff up in the side-by-side, came up here to get started on this. And I'm just loving it. I want to thank you guys for watching our videos because honestly, that's what's making this possible for me. Making these videos, making a little bit of money on these videos has given me something that I've never really had, and that's enough extra money to play a little bit. And that's what we're doing here. We're using that money to reinvest in things to make content like building this cabin and all of the other things that we do for fun around here. So thank you guys for supporting us. I just wanted you to know that I appreciate that. Well, we're going to get to work on putting some boxes in, trying to decide how we want to set this up. I'm not going all out, but I want to put a few outlets in here, and I'll show you. I'm going to set this up to where we'll be able to have, I'll have the cabin wired up to where we'll have some outlets and we'll have some lights and light switches for the cabin. And then we'll run that to not a traditional breaker panel or anything like that, because the generators have circuit breakers built in. But what I'm going to do is mount some separate boxes, and I'll put extension cord ends on those boxes coming out of those boxes so that we can just plug them into the generator, and we'll have one for the lights and one for the power outlets. And that should work well for what we're doing. So I'm gonna get started on that. We'll see how it goes. I'm gonna get me a cup of coffee poured and maybe get some work done if I can stop sitting around drinking coffee long enough. Ooh, that's hot. That's some good stuff right there. So we're not going to put just a ton of outlets in here, but the way that this cabin is framed, I basically need to be able to run my wiring in these cavities behind the posts or the king studs or whatever you want to call them. If I mount them like this, then when I put my 1-inch boards on here for like paneling, then they'll come out just about right. Once we get all of these in, I can start pulling wire, get that buttoned up into boxes, and then we can start insulating. So our loft is going to be up there above the window here and below the upper windows, of course. So I want a couple of outlets up there because we'll be sleeping up there, can charge phones and that kind of thing. I'm sure the kids will be like bringing laptops and watching movies, and you know, we like to camp, but we're not real primitive. All right, well, it is getting late on me and I'm getting tired, so I'm gonna call it a day, but I got quite a bit done tonight. I worked up here all evening, kept the lights burning, ran the chargers, and the Geneverse is still sitting on 60%, so I burned 4% of power while I was in here running the lights, so that's fantastic. Of course, we were still, when I first started, gathering some solar power, so that was cool. But anyway, fires kept me good and warm. It is 35 degrees outside, and man, it's toasty in here. I had to shed the jacket, and I'd say it's 70 probably. No insulation yet, so yeah, fire's doing a fantastic job. But kind of give you guys an idea of what I got wired up. Now, I didn't have any wire staples. I forgot to buy wire staples, so everything's kind of a mess right now. My cable management is pretty terrible. So I'm gonna have to pick up some wire staples and do some cable management here. You know, we've got it wired in to where basically I have 2 circuits set up. One circuit feeds 2 outlets and the LED lights for the building and the back door light. And then I have 1 circuit that has the charging outlets up in the loft, couple outlets down low here, and the front porch LED light. The way this is set up, we'll never be running like a bunch of stuff in all the outlets and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not worried about overloading anything in that respect. But basically it's just a matter of, keeps us from having to run an extension cord if we want to set up and set in a chair over here in the corner or whatever the case is. Okay, well, first update this afternoon. I got up here this afternoon. The sun is beaming brightly on my solar panels, which is great. It was really cold last night. When I got up here, the temperature outside was 50 degrees, but it was cold in the cabin because it was cold all night. I came in and the Geneverse had a little error message or warning message on there that it wasn't charging because it was too cold to take a charge, which is kind of frustrating. But I'm sure it was below freezing last night, so the batteries were probably below freezing temperature. I don't know what the cutoff point is on this, but I had to build a fire in here and warm it up before this thing would start charging. So had the sun shining all day long today and got zero charge until I came in and built a fire. Another lesson learned about how these work. Now, I had been warned that these lithium iron phosphate batteries won't accept a charge when it's below freezing. So that is something you need to be aware of. Now, we have several of these power stations. So worst case scenario for us in the wintertime, we have to take them down to the house and charge them some. And it's pulling charge now. It's pulling 111 watts of charge in, and we have gained, I think, 4% on our battery life since it started charging this afternoon. It's exciting for me to see all of this work, and it's fun. My life is not depending on it, so it's no major deal. But I will tell you that if I spent the kind of money that these things cost and had all of these things going on, I would be disappointed. And I share that because I want people to know what it is that they're buying before they spend their hard-earned money. Now, you may be in a situation where this would work perfectly for you. Maybe you keep your climate controlled so it's not going to get freezing cold. No problem. If I'm going to review a product, I'm going to tell you everything that I run into just so that you're educated when you go to buy one. I'm not down in the product because these are limitations of the technology. Overall, the technology is pretty neat, but it's very expensive and it's not foolproof. You have things that you got to deal with. So just so you know, on with the show here. I am now working on, I went and got some wire staples. And so I'm actually just kind of buttoning up the wires, pulling them up and stapling them in out of the way where when I put my siding on the walls in here, the wires won't be in the way where they get caught on stuff and all that. Well, I wondered how aggressive it would get. Well, today I forgot my coffee cup. So I guess we just drink a little bit at a time out of a great stuff foam cap. No foam in there, is there? I like my coffee. I am back up here on the wiring, and I just wanted to share with you a little bit more progress about the Geneverse. Each day I come up here, I'm learning a little bit more. It's been 2 days since I had been up here. And I told you about the temperature issue with the batteries, which is just the nature of the technology. But yesterday was a little bit warmer day and we had pretty good sun. When I came up here this afternoon, the Geneverse had charged all the way from 59% back up to 88% on its own. So even though I've been running chargers and running the lights each night when I come up here, it seems to be gathering enough solar even in the wintertime, even when it's cold and all of that, to keep up with the little amount of draw that we're putting on it. Now that I have everything hooked up, I want to show you the way that I did this, because this Geneverse is not going to stay here just permanently. I mean, sometimes we may need to take it down to the house and charge it because of the, whole it won't charge when it's freezing temperatures kind of thing. And we also have other power stations that we want to try. We've got the Oops power station, which is kind of the same rating, has the same wattage and all as our Geneverse. And I have ordered the right connections so that I can plug the solar panels into the Oops and charge it as well. So if one runs down, I can swap it out and I can charge the other one and take one down to the house in the side-by-side and charge it up and have it ready on standby. So we should have power from here on out up here at the cabin. We're about a half mile from the house, so this type of technology is really the only way that we could operate this. I mean, short of having gas-powered generators and the noise and all of that, which I don't want. I want the peacefulness of the cabin being out here in the middle of nowhere, but I want comfort. And that's why we went this route. I, so far, am happy with the Geneverse since I got it back. I'm learning some more things about it. I'm going to try not to overload it, and hopefully that will keep it from having any more problems. So I wanted to show you how that I wired up the cabin, because we didn't put in an electrical panel and do all of that, because we're not running a lot of high-powered stuff up here. We're just running some LED lights, some chargers, that kind of stuff. So nothing major. What I did was I actually wired up, around the walls, I wired up outlets kind of the way you would in a house, except for this is a post frame construction, so everything's sideways. But run my wiring, and I kind of stapled it up underneath here to get it out of the way. And then I ran that wiring into little junction boxes up underneath my shelf here for my generator. I put a plate on that with a clamp for an extension cord. And I got me some extension cord and put ends on it and wired them up inside these junction boxes so that I have one circuit with the outlets on one side of the cabin and the lights for one side of the cabin. And then I have another circuit with the outlets and lights for the other side of the cabin. So it's just basically wired up half and half. We're not going to be running a whole bunch of stuff at once. So I'm not worried about overloading anything. And then if I want to, swap out the generator, all I have to do is unplug these cords and they can hang down or whatever, set the new one in and plug them back in. And we're all set. So I thought it was just a pretty simple setup to get us running, and nothing complicated about hooking any of it up. And we are in business. I'm waiting on 2 more lights to come in so that I can get those wired up, and I'm excited about those because I ordered some kind of old-fashioned lantern hanging lights that have a light bulb in them, and so we'll wire those up and those will be hanging in here. Thought that would look pretty cool. And what we set up here, I was trying to get all this done so I can start insulating the cabin and then putting our wall covering on, and we'll just about be finished. But I wired up our lighting here, so I actually have a light on the outside of the cabin here, so that if we're staying up here all night or whatever, we can turn those lights on, and that'll give you some light so you can head toward the permapotty and all that. And then I have a light switch back here that will run those overhead lights when they come in. Then to the front of the cabin, basically the same thing. Light switch inside the door here, and we have a front porch light. So we can be like Tom Bodett, Motel 6. We'll leave the light on for you. So that's the story for off-grid power for the cabin. And like I said, we don't live up here, so we don't need major electricity, but we've got a pretty cool setup with our solar panels and all that. And I'm real happy with what we've got set up and working, and I've really enjoyed learning about these power stations and the new technology. And I want to say that even though we had some problems with the Geneverse and we had to send that back and get it repaired, they did fix it, and well, they sent us a new one to replace it. And for the amount of money that this technology costs, you need a company that's going to stand behind their product. So I appreciate them doing that, and I especially appreciate them investing in our channel and our content, because that's helped us to be able to grow and share this information with you guys. And I think we've got a great setup here to be able to test these things, because we've got our solar panels working now, and I've got all the different connections. So I think I'll be able to actually charge just about any kind of setup that I can get my hands on. Hope you guys are enjoying seeing how all this stuff works. Hope you enjoyed today's video. I'm about to get to work on this stack of foam over here and doing some unconventional insulating of the cabin, and we'll share that with you. So be sure and come back, check that out. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Be sure and check out some of our other videos. We appreciate y'all watching. Don't forget to get outside and enjoy God's creation. It's beautiful out here. Y'all have a good day.